Alright, welcome to Small Kind Fishing. Today's video is going to be on how to modify a small boat for offshore fishing. So in today's video I'll cover all the gear that I use to set up my boat, some modifications that I've done to this boat to make it sea ready or offshore ready, and just kind of all overall walkthrough or walk around of my boat and some of the modifications that I've done to it over time period of about 2 years. I did want to start off today by saying thank you to all of the new supporters, everyone that's liked, comment, or subscribed to the videos. It's super helpful in kind of bringing the channel up. You know, I'm just someone from Hawaii that is hoping to share some knowledge and share some footage of what it looks like to fish in Hawaii. So all the support is super helpful and I really appreciate it. So with that in mind, do comment with any questions that you might have, or maybe there's some things that I've inspired you to kind of do with your boat. You know, feel free to like this video, it really does help out a lot. With that in mind, I appreciate all the new subscribers and all the support that you guys have shown me over the last few videos. It's really been unexpected, but super helpful. And just a little bit more information about this boat and about myself. So I'm based out of Hawaii, on Oahu. I bought this boat about 2 years ago. It's a 17-foot Seaswirl Striper. I think it's more of a mainland boat, and to be honest, a lot of guys would say it's probably more of an inshore boat, but you know, I've modified it the way that I really wanted to, and I made it very safe for offshore fishing. You can do things safely if you know, have a vision, and if you prepare correctly, and I always will emphasize that, you know, if you don't feel safe out on the water, or if there's ever any doubt, then you shouldn't, you know, be going far out on a small boat. But I feel comfortable enough, I have the right safety equipment to be doing this kind of thing. And hopefully, you know, knock on wood, but hopefully, you know, we always stay safe and always remain safe. I'm very blessed to have a good network of friends that do have boats as well, and that are very helpful, you know, when it is needed. So yeah, that's just kind of some background information. But yeah, this boat took me about 2 years to kind of modify it for offshore fishing specifically. It's a really good sandbar boat. It's a really good inshore boat too, but for me, my goal was to chase big tunas, big ahi. So that's what I'm going for. That's my primary target. So this boat is definitely built for that. So just gonna give a quick overview of the bow. So like I said, this is a 17-foot boat. This portion right here is about 4 feet in the front. There's an access panel over here on the left and right side, or the port and starboard side of the boat. I have 2 cushions here. These are also flotation devices or safety devices. If someone were to fall off the boat, you can throw this at them, or on the boat it does function as a seat. I have up here is the anchor locker, and then there's 2 hatches over here. These are both storage spaces, so I keep my fins in there, I keep my mask and snorkel, and I keep some safety gear in there, all the good stuff there. There is a live well. Now, I don't really use this live well. It works pretty well, but personally I made myself a homemade ikima, is what we call it in Hawaii, or a live well, and that works well. It works a little bit better for our application, at least for catching opelu and moanas and other kind of live bait. So that's that. You will notice I do have Seadek here. So this is out of a big strip I bought online and then custom cut to fit the different sections of my boat that I wanted to have less slippery and a lot more protected, I guess you can say. I will say Seadek is really good. A lot of the stains that you might see right now can come off very easily if I were to scrub on it with a kind of a rougher brush, or basically with a power washer. Power washer helps to blast it all right off. This area is usually where I keep a fish bag, or at the sandbar I'll have a beanbag chair here, and usually whoever's sitting up here will be sleeping most of the time, but they'll be very comfortable in this section right here. Directly behind this is this coho box, fish box or cooler. This one's pretty helpful. It's a pretty large size for a cheap price. Bought it from Costco a couple years ago. It's got a lot of space, and I gotta say, I mean, this thing takes a beating, but it definitely holds ice for a good period of time. Eventually looking to switch this out with an Aussie box or a Yeti, a large one, so I can fit a little bit more fish in here. On the port side, we have two stainless steel rod holders. I pretty much use this just for storage. When I'm underway, I'll put my spinners here. Right now I have an electric reel that I'm going to give a demonstration for in just a bit. But yeah, I mean, the rod holders are just for storage up here. And I'll have the same thing on this side as well, with a net here as well, but I got to move that. But yeah, that's kind of the front of the boat. You'll notice over here I do have a nice Bimini. It's a pretty good height. It's a little bit tall, but I had this custom made from this guy in Kaneohe. It's stainless steel, really solid parts, and I have this windshield up here in front to block any kind of wind or spray that comes towards the stern on very windy days. Super helpful. I designed this myself and had a guy kind of bring it to life with upholstery and this Isinglass material, and it gives a little nice walkway over here to get to and from. But yeah, this is the view from the front, or from the stern looking towards the bow, and with the window down it lets in a lot more air, ventilation, really clear. And I can just tuck this away back there when there's those nice days that don't have a lot of wind and spray. So the one thing about small boats and fishing small boats offshore is there's very limited space. So making use of the space is definitely very necessary. So over here, this boat came stock without these aluminum panels that you're seeing right here. So I had this guy that I was working on my boat with, Tracy. He fabricated these custom for me, and we just bolted it into the gunnels, and it basically acts as a storage for a bunch of other things. So I have on this side, I have my gaffs, I have my gloves, I have some rags and things like that to wipe down the boat or fish blood. I have my wash down hose. This is super helpful, and I'll kind of give a little more information on that in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, it's super helpful to have a little bit more storage space on both sides, and extra, you know, waterproof containers. Also, I'm already anticipating the comments, and I know that everyone's gonna be like, hey, you know, you should have done it this way, or you should have done it that way. Well, yeah, leave your comments to yourself, because this is my way, this is my boat, this is how I do it. So sorry, but you know, at the same time, there's always going to be guys that are commenting, you got to do it this way and this is the right way or whatever. Nah, there's no right way or wrong way. There's just how you like to do it and what suits your boat or suits your application. So that's just a little side note here. All right, so coming around to the stern, I added another Seadek panel. This one's a little bit thicker. It adds a good amount of cushion for all day when we're on the boat. And I'm standing here the whole time, so you know, if I'm standing on hard fiberglass and wood the whole day and while the boat's bouncing, it gets real uncomfortable. But I'll tell you, this Seadek definitely helps to cushion that, you know, the ups and downs going down sea. So coming around to the center console, in this compartment I do have dual batteries, a little extra storage space. I run 2 batteries because, you know, one is for the house, one is to start the engine, run all those kinds of things, and the other is for electronics and everything else that's drawing power on this boat. So I do have my Garmin here. This has my chart plotter and all my maps. I don't leave it on for obvious reasons, but yeah, I can show you guys that at a later time. I do have this SMG gauge, so this kind of gives out all the information for my Suzuki engine back there, and it will tell me how much fuel I'm burning, you know, how fast I'm going, the RPMs, things like that. Really helpful. This panel itself used to be this really old plastic kind of piece that went across, so we went ahead and replaced that. My friend Tracy fabricated this aluminum panel and made the custom cutouts for, you know, the different gauges and buttons and things like that. So rigged up these buttons. They are for bilge, washdown pump, my nav lights, my LED lights, etc. And over here I have my VHF radio. Yeah, and I put this, I love Seadek. As you can see, this product is pretty helpful as well. It's just like a little phone storage or anything that you need to keep dry and kind of in place while the boat's moving. That's that. Got my pliers, a little bit of sunscreen, and extra storage space up here. Of course, I got beverage holders for juice and water while driving the boat. I got my knives. This one is all cracked. I gotta replace that. And I got some extra tools up here and extra cup holders. So yeah, that's the front console. A little bit extra storage with this little box that I added in there as well. But yeah, that's, I mean, it is what it is. This is where I spend 10 hours of the day driving the boat and kind of working around here. Turning around, we have this custom leaning post. So this was done by another local guy in Hawaii. I can drop his information in the comments as well. But I added a little netting storage over here, so I just adds a little bit extra storage in convenient little spots on the boat. I keep some rope there, some extra bags, some zip ties, things like that. And coming around to the actual leaning post itself, this is solid. Super sturdy. We bolted it down and 5200 it. It's got a nice bar over here in the back, so if someone's sitting here in the back, they can actually sit down and have it just kind of bracing yourself. And it's got a nice little footrest here, so that's pretty convenient too. Definitely helpful. Okay, so coming around to here, we have the shotgun rod holders. So I have 2 of these on either side, and then I have one center shotgun rod holder as well. I usually don't run this one. I usually run 4 lines. I'll run 2 over here and 2 over there, and that just helps to kind of prevent a lot of tangles. Although my outriggers, which I will show a demonstration of setting that up in just a second, those will even keep my spread a little bit further out. So I could even technically run like 5 lines. I could run like 7 lines if I wanted to run hand lines in the back. But like I said, it gets really messy on a small boat. I'm trying to deal with a lot of different lines. I have my 80 Tiagras from Shimano that I generally will run over here, and these I'll send super far back. So both these 2 are my long riggers. On this side, mounted into the gun, I'll have another rod holder. I'll usually keep my kind of lighter setups here, although definitely could take big strikes on these as well. So I have that one and this one. These run very short, so these run a little bit closer to the boat, and they're kind of running in and out of the prop water or the prop wash. To a predator fish, it looks like a lone bait swimming in the prop wash, so easy to pick off and eat. So hopefully you can see this, but basically I have these trolling clips, and so how this will be set up is my line will be let out to my desired, you know, distance, which is about 50 feet, like I mentioned. And once this is running in the water, I'll go ahead and use this clip. I'll put the line in the clip and lock it down. And so when this is properly running, it'll look like this. Let me give you guys a better look at this. So it'll look like this. What this helps to do is it keeps the lines down straight, running in the water at the ideal length that you want it to run. And when a fish bites, this clip here will snap. and it'll give you kind of an indication that something's on. So this is what it'll sound like. So super helpful. This also helps to make sure that the lines are running straight and they're not tangling, and really good trick if you're trolling offshore. So as you can see, this is a different attachment here, and it fits right into the same shotgun. And basically this one's a little bit different from, I forget what angle this is. This is more meant for straight butt, so that it keeps your rod like that. The tip is up, as opposed to this one where it's a little bit more horizontal and a little bit more easy to drop an electric reel, because when you're dropping an electric reel, you really want it to sit up and down like this. This is what an electric reel looks like. I actually do have a plug here that we put into the boat as well, so it makes it really easy to just plug in and out instead of using 2 alligator clips and connecting it to a battery on the deck. So that is wired straight to my center console storage, the dual batteries, as I showed you earlier. But yeah, this electric reel is pretty sweet. I haven't gotten a whole lot of mileage on it yet, but next season we're definitely going to be hitting that and trying to get some queen snappers or onagas. That's the goal. So with offshore fishing, you want to always make sure that you have a gaff or a couple gaffs, and what's good to have also is a meat hook. So I have a short gaff here. This one I would use for kind of smaller fish, or you know, if it's right there by the boat and I can just easily gaff it like that. I do have a longer gaff here. Obviously the increased length will mean that you have more reach, so you can reach a little bit further and sink that perfect gaff shot. So make sure your gaffs are always sharp as well. You have this kind of style, get like a just jab. Basically you want to aim right for the head of the fish and you just kind of poke it in there. These are helpful to have on deck. And a meat hook. So the meat hook, once you gaff a fish, you know, it has a really good handle here, so you can get a little bit more leverage to pull in a big fish. Aim for the gill plate or the head, and you sink that in, and you can have, you know, two gaffs basically to pull in the big fish. This is really good for ahi, especially. Oh, and really good for offloading fish off of the boat as well. Also want to make sure you have a solid bat. So this one is really hard. And it will definitely help to dispatch a fish very easily, so that they aren't flopping around on your deck and potentially flying around a super sharp hook that could land into your arm, legs, any kind of appendixes. Okay, just a little bit more information on the shotgun rod holders. So these are fabricated by Universal Manufacturers. You can ask for Greg at Universal Manufacturers on Oahu. Super solid work, really high quality materials that they're using to fabricate these shotguns and rod holders. But they do a whole bunch of other stuff. Any kind of metal fabrication, they're really good. So give them a look up on Yelp and definitely contact Greg. But yeah, so this one, as I showed you, the other attachment that fits into here for bottom fishing, this is going to be an angled, I don't know what angle this is, but an angled shotgun rod holder. So this swivels out, and generally when I'm fishing, I'm facing it this way, so it has a little bit further of a spread. And when I'm fighting fish, it's usually at this angle, and I'm fighting it like this. So that's what a lot of times you'll see in my videos when either of us on the port side or the starboard side are fighting fish at the shotgun rod holders. Coming around to the very back, I do have a couple drain holes here. So anything that gets any wash or any waves that come over the front, if at all, or any spray, it all goes back here and drains straight into this back compartment. And back here I have a bilge, so that pumps it right out of the boat on that side. And I do have all of my other pumps back here. So I have my spray down, wash down hose, and my live well pump back here as well. And that basically draws water off of the mounts back here on the transom. Can't really see it too well, but and that brings it in here, and there's a little plumbing tubing that goes to here and straight to my washdown hose. So I mean, I didn't really know a whole lot about plumbing and electronics and wiring and things like that, but through the process of setting this boat up, I was definitely able to learn quite a lot. And so now with the press of a button, I have water being sucked up from the back and just fresh water or fresh salt water ready to go to spray down the deck at any point. This is super crucial, definitely necessary to have on deck if you're fishing offshore, because you do need to spray down fish slime or blood or guts, and or the fish itself. So back here I have a plastic cutting board. I think I bought this on Boat Outfitters. Super useful. It's got a little measuring reference there. This thing is really old, but it's solid. So you can cut your fish. It's got these two little gullies here that lead to this little drain, and it drains right out of the boat through there. So anytime I'm cutting up bait or any kind of filleting of small fish, this is where I do it, and it easily drains out on the back side of the boat in the splash well. Got a little bit extra storage in here, and two cup holders where I keep weight sinkers and a little bit extra miscellaneous kind of stuff. I do keep two water jugs on deck to have at all times, just in case I need a this is fresh water, or I guess hose water. So that's useful if we ever need to shower or wash down after we jumped in the water or surfed or whatever it is. Coming around to the back. So this is a 90 horsepower 2022 Suzuki 4-stroke engine. This thing is super reliable, and it's also super fuel efficient. I had a 2-stroke engine prior to this, and I had maybe about 1/4 or 1/5 of the range that I have with this guy. So I used to go to a buoy that was, or a FAD basically, that is 18 miles out, and then I would go straight in, and I would have burned about 40 gallons. With this engine, I can go out there, I can go to the next buoy that's 10 miles away, and then the next buoy that's like 12 miles away from that, and I would have only burned about 15 gallons. So yeah, you can do the math. It makes a lot of sense to buy something like this. Gavin from MI Marine helped me set this up, and I added this little hydrofoil. It does help for planing, slow speeds, and just kind of getting the engine or the back of the boat up when initially taking off. Supposedly supposed to help with fuel economy as well, but yeah, I mean, either way, this engine is the biggest investment I've made on this boat. It's more expensive than the boat itself, or the hull itself, but it's definitely worth the investment. So that's kind of an overview of my boat. Like I said, it's mostly for offshore fishing, and at least that's how I set it up. But it is a really good family boat. It's a perfect size for sandbar. It's the perfect size that I can launch with by myself if I wanted to, but most times I'll launch, if I'm going to the sandbar, I launch with my wife. So between the two of us, it's very easy to set up and get out. Small enough that, I can take at least 4 people on this boat if I really wanted to, but at the same time, I prefer fishing with just one other partner, or two guys max. And it's just, it doesn't use a whole lot of fuel. I can go all day and burn only like 15 gallons and still come home with a lot of fish. The only thing that I wish is that I had a little bit of a larger cooler in here in the front, like I mentioned, so that I could start bringing home a little bit more fish. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, this is what suits my needs, and it definitely is my favorite investment that I've made thus far. So let me know if you have any questions about this boat, and I'll be happy to answer it in the comments. But until the next time, stay safe, tight lines, and keep watching. It's small kind fishing.